Before maps, before compasses, before anyone knew the world was round, someone still had to go first, not for glory, not for money, just to survive. These were Earth's first explorers, and their story is stranger and braver than almost anything that came after. It starts in Africa roughly 300,000 years ago. Our species, Homo sapiens, first appears here. For most of that time, we stayed close to home, small groups, familiar land, familiar food. Then, around 70,000 years ago, something shifted. Maybe the climate changed. Maybe resources ran thin. Whatever the reason, people started walking, not knowing what was ahead, not knowing if they'd survive it. They followed coastlines, rivers, herds of animals, one valley at a time, one generation at a time. This wasn't a single dramatic journey. It was thousands of small, uncertain steps. Out of Africa into the Arabian Peninsula, then across southern Asia, hugging the coast. For people who'd never seen an ocean, this alone was terrifying. But it was about to get much harder, because ahead of them was open water. Real open water. No visible land on the other side. This is where the story gets almost unbelievable. Roughly 65,000 years ago, humans reached Australia. To get there, they had to cross a stretch of ocean. Around 100 kilometers of it, minimum. With no land in sight the entire way. Think about what that actually required. Boats or rafts capable of surviving open sea. The knowledge to build them. And the courage to launch into the unknown on purpose. Archaeologists found the proof in northern Australia. A rock shelter called Majidbeeb, stone tools, ground pigment, grinding stones for food, all dated to around 65,000 years old. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a raft blown off course. This was deliberate, repeatable, planned, which means tens of thousands of years before writing existed. Humans were already building boats and navigating open ocean. While some groups pushed toward Australia, others turned north into colder, harsher land, into what's now the Middle East, then Europe, then Central Asia. These explorers met other humans already living there, Neanderthals, a different branch of the human family tree. They coexisted, sometimes competed, sometimes interbred. Most people alive today carry a small trace of that meeting. Further north, the world turned brutal. Ice sheets, frozen tundra, endless winters, and still people kept moving, following mammoths, following reindeer, following any chance at food. Eventually, they reached the edge of Siberia and found something extraordinary waiting there, a land bridge. During the last ice age, sea levels dropped dramatically. A strip of land connected Siberia to North America. Scientists call it Beringia. It wasn't a bridge in the way we imagine one. It was a vast, windswept plain hundreds of kilometers wide, and for a while, people actually lived there, hunting, surviving, adapting to the extreme cold. Then, sometime between 15,000 and 20,000 years ago, they pushed onward into a completely new continent, the Americas. From there, the migration didn't stop. It moved south. Fast in evolutionary terms. Within a few thousand years, humans reached the southern tip of South America. One species walking from the edge of Siberia to the edge of Antarctica. Engines, no compasses, no written maps, just memory, observation, and an instinct to keep going. By this point, humans had reached almost every landmass on Earth. Almost. One enormous piece of the map was still empty, the Pacific Ocean. Thousands of tiny islands, scattered across millions of square miles, separated by open water in every direction. And yet, humans found nearly all of them. This is where a different kind of explorer enters the story, the Polynesian navigators. Starting a few thousand years ago, they began settling islands most people had never even heard of. Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, then further out, Tahiti, Hawaii, Easter Island, eventually New Zealand. Each journey meant open ocean voyages of thousands of kilometers, with no instruments at all. So how did they do it? They read the stars, not just noticing them, memorizing entire star paths across the sky. They read ocean swells and how they bent around distant islands. They watched birds, clouds, even the color of the water. Navigators trained for years to hold this knowledge in memory alone. No charts, no instruments, just observation, passed down generation to generation. Their canoes were built for the open ocean, double-hulled, stable, capable of carrying people, animals, and crops, because settling a new island meant bringing an entire way of life with you. By around 700 to 800 years ago, they'd reached New Zealand, the last major landmass on Earth to see human footprints. Think about the scale of that achievement. From walking out of Africa to sailing across the largest ocean on the planet, no species had ever spread this far, this completely. Every desert, every forest, every island, every frozen coastline, all of it reached on foot or by handmade boat long before instruments. These weren't reckless wanderers. They were planners, builders, observers of the natural world. They studied the sky the way we study screens. They read the ocean the way we read directions. Every successful journey became knowledge, passed to the next generation. And every failed one was a lesson, paid for in full. So the next time you open a map app and tap a destination, remember what it once took to go somewhere nobody had ever been. No GPS, no satellites, no certainty of return, just courage, observation, and the will to find out what was over the horizon. If this changed how you see the map of the world, subscribe for more true stories history forgot to teach, because the first explorers didn't have ships full of technology. They just refused to stop walking.